This episode of Beyond the Backyard is brought to you by Ultimate Archery and Outdoors, Ultimate Deer Products, Head to Tracks Incorporated, Red Life Food Plot Seed Company, Tacticam, Jay's Sporting Goods, and by Oz Cut Broadheads. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Backyard. I'm your host, Steve Kretovic, and today we're diving into a topic that's on every Michigan bow hunter's mind this time of year: how to hunt deer in early October. Now, let's be honest. Early October can be tricky. Deer are fresh off summer patterns, the acorns are dropping, corn's still standing, and sometimes it feels like deer just vanish as soon as you climb into your stand. But here's the truth. October can be one of the best times to tag a mature buck if you know how to approach it. So today we're going to break it down. Deer behavior in early October, stand placement, food sources, calling strategies, weather patterns, and how to avoid the dreaded October lull. Stick with me, this is going to be a good one. So let's start with the basics. What are deer doing in early October here in Michigan? First, we have transition periods. Bucks shifting from summer bachelor groups into solitary patterns. Velvet is gone, testosterone levels are rising, but the rut isn't really here yet. Typically, you'll get all your bucks from different areas that come together at one location to hang out during the velvet season. As soon as their horns harden up, their velvet falls off, they'll go back to whatever their main area is. Now, feeding priority, early October is still about food. We have acorns, beans, corn edges, and freshly cut alfalfa fields are huge draws for deer this time of year. Changing patterns. If you're watching deer in September, don't assume they'll keep doing the same thing. They're adjusting to the pressure and food availability. So just because you have deer coming in September, do not get mad when all of a sudden, for example, the youth hunt, someone shoots a buck and you think, oh man, they shot my buck. Well, there's not a guarantee that same deer would be coming in October. Actually, there's a good chance that deer wouldn't be coming in October. They do change patterns. And like I said, just because you have a group of mature bucks on your property in September, when their velvet falls off, majority of those bucks are going to leave your property. Obviously, whatever buck is the most dominant buck for your area will probably stay in your area. But yeah, it's not guaranteed that every single buck you're seeing in September is going to stay there through October. Now, also, you got daylight movement. Mature bucks especially will be more cautious, but you still can catch them slipping up during the daylight in your bedding or on staging areas. So the mindset for early October is this: deer are moving, but they're careful. This is a time of year to hunt smart and not be reckless. Food is king in early October. Here's what you need to key in on. First of all, we got acorns. If you got white oaks dropping, that's where you want to be. Deer will abandon fields and hammer acorns hard in October. Soybeans. If the green beans are still green, deer will be all over them. Once they yellow, the movement in the beans really starts to slow. Corn. Standing corn provides both food and bedding cover. The edges of a cornfield are hot. Some of the best stands I've ever had have been where the edge of a corner of a woods meets a cornfield. You got that little gap there where the planter can't get in, and that just seems to always be a money spot for deer movement. Corner of a woods where it meets a cornfield, put a stand up and you will see deer. Next spot is food plots. Brassicas, clover, early planted rye and wheat can really start drawing deer big time this time of year. But trail cameras really are your best friend this time of year. Get them on travel corridors, pinch points, food edges. Cell cams can let you check without pressure, but even standard cams can give you clues on timing. I use cell cams. I have the Reveal cell cams, and I have found nothing but great success with them. And the biggest fact of not having to go out every 4, 5, 6 days to check a camera. And I feel like a lot of times when you have a normal camera, you start getting anxious. Next thing you know, you're going way too soon. Every time you're going out there, unless you're completely scent-freeing yourself, spraying yourself down, you're educating the deer. So if you can get a cell camera, by all means, buy one, and it will really help your game out as far as scouting deer. Now, stand placement is everything in October, but here's how I break it down. Evenings, you want your stand over food. Early October evenings are money near food sources. Don't hunt right on the edge, though. Set back where deer stage just before entering the fields. I've seen a lot of times these bucks, especially the mature bucks, they'll really wait until last light to come out into the field during the early season. So try to get a little bit in from that food plot. Don't be right on that food plot because you're going to catch those bucks coming to the edge, waiting for it to get dark, and then they're going to come out. On mornings, you want to be near bedding. Mornings are riskier, but it can pay off if you know the bedding areas. Slip in quietly and catch them coming back late. Pinch points and funnels. Great places all month long, especially as bucks start checking does in mid to late October. Up here in northern Michigan, The pinch points are a little harder to locate. You can still find them. Obviously, they're still there. But downstate where I grew up in the Berry County area, you have a lot of fields and then little woods with fence rows. Well, obviously, those pinch points, you got that, they're going to take that fence row all the way back to that woods, and then you can find that pinch point to the next section of woods. But as you get up in northern Michigan, where there's mostly just woods everywhere and grasses, you really have to pay attention a little more on how to find that exact pinch point that works for you. Now, axis, this is huge. Deer are hypersensitive in October. If you blow your entry, they wind you or they hear you, you're done. Use creeks, ditches, and downwind routes. Go beforehand. Check your spot. Make sure if you're walking in the woods, maybe I know guys that go out there with a rake and will rake out the path to their stand. Or they'll at least go out there and get the branches out of the way. It's one thing to be walking through woods and deer constantly hear leaves moving. You got squirrels out there, raccoons, all kinds of animals in the woods. But the big thing is this: you step on a branch at 5:30 in the morning, it's going to sound like a bomb went off in that woods. So try to go out there beforehand, carry a little flashlight, keep it towards the ground. Red lights work great. They say that deer don't pick up on them. But I'd rather have a light on me and walk out there and know that I'm not going to step on something than walk out there in the dark and possibly bust myself before I even get out there. But let's also talk about what people always talk about as the October lull. Some hunters swear that deer just stop moving in October, but here's the reality. Deer don't stop moving. They just change where and when they move. Increased hunting pressure pushes them nocturnal. Food sources shift from fields to acorns, and they're laying low more during daylight hours. So is there really a lull? Not exactly. There's just a shift. You just have to adapt. You can still have the great hunts in early October, but you have to figure out how they're moving. It's not always A to B. Maybe it's A, C, and then B. So just try to really pinpoint on how they're moving that time of year. It's not always, hey, I can go sit in the stand that I always sit in and I'm going to see bucks. Well, maybe this year they've shifted a little bit and you might have to adapt to it. Always be up to adapt when you're out in the woods. You know, back in the day, remember I used to sit in this one stand and I'd always have deer. In my younger years, I didn't know enough to adapt. I'd have these bucks coming through, but they'd all be about 100 yards away and they'd cross in the field. Now thinking about it, I just sit there and I'd watch them. Oh, that's cool. There's big bucks out there. You have to move to them. You have to adjust. Now, if I were to hunt that same spot, I'd probably get on that fence row 30 yards away from where they're crossing and adapt to it. Make a ground blind. Do something else to help change it up. You can't always go with your original plan. Sometimes you have to mix it up to get it done. All right, let's talk tactics. Calling. You know, light rattling, soft grunts can work, but don't overdo it. Early October bucks are curious, but they're not really aggressive. They're not looking to fight, but they might come in just to check it out. So if you want to hit a couple grunts, that's fine, but keep it soft, keep it subtle. Less is more always with calling. Too much calling can really kill your hunt. Scent. Be obsessive about scent control. Wash your clothes, use an ozone if you have one, hunt the wind. Early October deer are keyed in. And then you get your weather. Cold fronts are your best friend. A drop in temperature, especially after a warm stretch, can spark daylight movement. Rain right before or after a storm is also great. So last year I shot a really nice buck, and it had been, I think it was like October 29th is when I shot it. But we got this warm stretch in October where it was like 75, 80 degrees all week. Hot as all heck. Then I saw that, I think it was Thursday night or Friday night, that I was supposed to drop down to a high of 50 the next day. I went out there that night, it started cooling off, and sure enough, the deer movement was awesome. I ended up putting down a nice 7-pointer. So look for those huge changes in temperature in October. Obviously, from October 30th on, you're going to sit out no matter what. It's the rut. It doesn't matter if it's hot, cold, rainy, windy. It doesn't matter. If it's during the rut, be out in your stand. But during that early period, look for those big changes, or definitely that first big change. For me, that 50-degree day was the coldest day of the month. So that is a key time to be out there, is that first big cold day in October. What are some of the biggest mistakes hunters make in early October? Well, first one is overhunting stands, burning them out before peak rut. Here's the thing, guys. I, in my younger years, used to sit out a ton early season. Obviously, we didn't have cameras, or I didn't use cameras a lot in the early years, in the early 2000s. And I used to hunt every single night for the first 2-3 weeks. And I wouldn't see anything. I get so burnt out after hunting. And now years later, I've come to realize that typically in early October, they're very patterned out, right? They're not just randomly moving. So if on your cameras or after a couple sits, you're not seeing bucks or shootable bucks come through your area, typically that time of year, bucks aren't random. You're not just going to have a random nice buck show up on your property the second week of October if he hasn't been there already, from what I've seen. Now, other people might have seen differently, but in my 30 years of bow hunting, I feel like in the early October, they're on a very strict pattern. If you have deer on camera, by all means, go out there and hunt it. But if you do not have a nice buck on camera, you might as well stay home, keep your tree stand scent free, cut firewood, whatever you got to do to get the wife happy around the house, do her little projects, but save that time and wait for the rut. Like I said, if you do have one on camera, by all means, go out there and hunt it. But if you have cameras out this time of year and you're getting near bow season and you do not have nice bucks coming in, stay back home. It's not going to hurt you. And then just wait, like I said, for that first cold day, like October 29th, like it was for me last year, where that first 50-degree day after 75, 80-degree temps. Another one is hunting without a plan for wind and axis. So if you don't have good wind, especially in early October, don't go in. If you don't have a stand that's going to play out in your favor as far as the wind, stay home, do what you got to do. Because like I said, you're just educating the deer. If they bust you, now when that hot period comes in, they already know where you're at. So don't educate them too soon in the woods. And that goes to the next point, is getting too aggressive too soon. You're going out there in winds that you shouldn't be going out in. You're sitting out in you're hunting over hunting your stands. Stay back. Save it for the good period. Like I said, if you don't have deer coming in during that hot period, wait until it gets good late October, and then by all means sit as much as you want. What it all comes down to is play it smart. Save your best stands for the right conditions, and you'll set yourself up for success during this upcoming season. As you wrap this one up, here's the bottom line. Early October bow hunting in Michigan can be tough, but also can be one of the best chances of tagging a mature buck. Focus on food sources, play the wind, hunt smart, and don't fall for the old October lull myth. Be patient, be persistent. Remember, the woods can change every single day this time of year. Adapt to the deer, and you'll stay ahead of the game. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Beyond the Backyard. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a comment. Let me know how your early season bow hunting has been in Michigan up to this point. Hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share it with a buddy, and leave a review. Good luck to all you Michigan bow hunters this October. May your arrows fly true, and may you fill your freezer with venison. Until next time, get outside, hunt smart, and keep the tradition alive.